wait until you go to bed, then I can, so we don't have to waste your time.
No,
So second question is about, you refer in also part E about it might be a recipe. Can
yes.
you elaborate that?
Well, yeah, I'm not sure. Let me think, because, you know, in the end, if, you know, the idea of being, you know, the metaphor of a chef may work for some and may not work for others. So in the end, if, you know, if the idea of the project as being something which requires a recipe, needs ingredients and needs tools, if that doesn't sort of give, you know, make sense, it's probably not, I'm not sure I can elaborate too much more to help, because it either works, you know, this is the thing about metaphors or analogies, they either work or they don't. And I think that this is a classic case. So, you know, the recipe, you know, if you think of a recipe, and I try to get, so I'll possibly repeat myself a little bit, but I'll try my best to answer the question. So, and maybe I can do it in this way. So one of the things that we can do in research is do a replication. All right. And actually, I'm a big fan of replications, and I believe they're very important. But they're not new and novel, but they do have a role. So let me, you know, so you could, and I actually do this with the Pacific Basin Finance Journal. I publish replications, and one of the first steps I get researchers to do is to pitch their replication to me. Now, the idea there, in terms of the recipe, it's like you go to the bookshop, you buy the recipe book, and you do what someone else has already said. This is how you make a banana cake, right? And you follow their recipe. That's their idea. But what we're talking about here is, no, you're in the kitchen, you've got the book that you bought from the bookshop, but you throw it in the bin. You say, no, I'm not making someone else, I'm not following someone else's recipe. I'm going to make up my own recipe. And I hope it tastes really nice. So that, you know, that's probably, hopefully that's a little bit more helpful to you in what I mean by the recipe part, and indeed how I think the metaphor of being a chef works. But like a lot of metaphors that try and help us understand things, they often have their limits, right? So that usually there's no perfect metaphor. It's sort of like, if you think about when someone tries to explain to you something in terms of a metaphor to help you understand, if you study that metaphor or push it too far, it will break. And so I then go back and say, if what I've said around the recipe and the chef and in the kitchen, it helps you, great. If you sort of think, I wasn't helped by, I was confused by it, just forget it, because it's not worth it. Hopefully that makes sense.